the Upsider.
Yes.
Hello, welcome to the Upsiders. My name is Los. I'm joined by Bertram.
Handsome Bertram. The king of the... Never mind. That wasn't going to be nice to say.
Welcome
This is
to
the
your Time
Upsiders.
Traveler's Guide to the Present. Yeah.
All those awful things that you think, this is the place you come to just shove them all the way down, just like the trash at the end. You're like, I could get more room in this trash can, and you just shove all that stuff back down. That's what we do here. All the ugly things going on in our society, we put them on hold right now. We push them out. Namaste. It's like, some yoga for the soul over here on the upside. So thank you for joining us.
That's right. Thank you. And as always, this episode is sponsored by nobody. Not yet.
You didn't.
Nobody.
You said who I was. You didn't say who you were.
Oh, I'm Los.
This is
the neighborhood Los, aka the artist formerly known as Los.
Lovely Los.
Los loves everyone.
Everybody's best friend.
That's
the guy in the neighborhood the kid in the neighborhood who always let you play with them even when you didn't have no friends. And you didn't really know what game he was playing, but he let you play anyway. And you probably screwed it up. So for that, thank you, Los, for letting us play, even though we didn't really know the rules and we sucked. You let us play anyway, so you're a good man.
I'm equal.
That's him. Yeah.
DEI. I am DEI Los.
Come on,
which will probably be another episode. We'll talk about that some other time. But
to be continued.
To be continued. But thank you for listening. Make sure to subscribe, share this podcast with your best friends, your family members, your worst enemies, everyone in between. We want to show everyone the upside. That's why we're here. And Bertram, it's interesting you mentioned...
Love your enemies. Love your enemies.
Love your enemies. Interesting you mentioned compacting your trash, because that's kind of where I want to start out. When I think of a trash compactor, yeah, I'm thinking of who does that. Do human beings do trash compacting nowadays, or
the garbage man?
Garbage man, or is it a machine? Is it a machine that does it?
Well, they call me the machine when I work as a garbage man.
Yeah, mainly it's a machine, otherwise known as I don't know. We'll get into it. But what does that?
Los doesn't know anything about garbage man because he don't work with trash.
Oh, stop it!
I'm just kidding. Why am I beating you up all of a sudden after I just loved you?
So Bertram, what does? Yeah. Okay, we could stick with that, but let's bring up some other examples here. What do elevators?
Pulley systems, physics.
Yeah. What do elevators? What do mail sorting? What do alarm clocks?
Ice cream. Computers. I don't know. Why are we playing taboo?
Bowling pins, phone lines have in common with each other.
Oh my God. Bowling pins just threw me off. Automation?
They all used to be run by humans, and they no longer are. They're automated. So once upon a time, you used to walk into an elevator. There used to be an operator in there.
That's right.
You
think that guy made a lot of money?
Huh?
You think that guy made a lot of money?
Yeah, probably not. But maybe made a living. They probably use that to fund their apartment, pay rent.
Dang.
Mail sorting.
Probably
right.
That dude probably had like a 4-car garage.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
There used to be a human alarm clock. Someone used to
the wake up call
waking people up.
That's true. There were a lot of wow, these jobs are crazy.
Yeah, they used to call them knocker-uppers. And
really?
Yeah, knocker-uppers used to be human alarm clocks.
Now you're just pulling my leg, which also used to be a job.
Humans Yeah, humans used to, if you went to the bowling alley, which you frequent, I know that.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, humans used to be in charge
It's
of resetting the pins.
me and the wife were watching Queen Charlotte. I don't know if you watched that. And she was sitting there next to me and she goes, if you were like a king or a queen where you just had 20 people watching you eat constantly, like what incredibly lavish thing would you do to put these people to work just because because like with Queen Charlotte, they wouldn't let her pick her own apples. Like she's like, I could pick my own apple, and they're like, but we got people to do that. Like, let the people do their job. Otherwise, they're just standing here doing nothing. And so my wife was like, what thing would you do to put these people to work? And I was like, I'd bowl constantly and have them just reset the pins. Like I'd bowl on like 10 lanes because you have so many people there that they can just reset the lanes for you. But man, that's crazy to think about how many jobs robots have taken, just the simple things in life that apparently people used to do everywhere. And this, like, the elevator one is the one that made me think. But you're right. Like a lot of our jobs, I'm curious what percentage of jobs got wiped out by robots in the last 100 years, Lowe's?
Well, that's good. We'll have to consult with our research team on that one. I don't have those exact numbers. But
It's
one
been
other one
outsourced by robots.
it's been out to check the data.
Let me
Yeah,
check.
those people just, our research team just lost their job. Oh man. Um, but another one I wanted to point out was you. If you didn't know this, I said computers. Humans used to actually be called computers. Now, if you remember the movie Hidden Figures, what were they? They were
They
computers. They
were
used to
computers. Dang.
perform mathematical calculations, tasks. You'd give them big equations and they'd figure them out. That was actually the basis for us creating computers, was for them to translate more and more data, figure out more and more math problems. And that's really what computers still are. They take these things, these problems, and they turn them into equations, and then we click somewhere and then an action happens. But yeah, humans used to do all of that, and we don't think of that anymore. Maybe for the better, but think of all those genius mathematicians who no longer have those jobs anymore. Do you think mathematics has fallen off a cliff?
Los, you're killing me right now. it's, like-
Well, okay, but
it's
these
amazing.
listeners,
It is amazing though how you're like, man, high skilled mathematicians. That was immediately outsourced by computers. You're like, hey, that so
yeah.
much so that they took their name, Los. That's
How's it?
they stole. They took a lot. They didn't name themselves elevator doorman. they they took that job, but they didn't take their name. That name just kind of went away. They took
Yeah,
computer's name.
yeah. So like, when is it going? What at what point are we going to get to when you get to the store and the self checkout's no longer called the self checkout, it's just called the cashier?
Interesting. I did think in our pre-production talk that the self-checkout's eventually just going to be run completely by computers, where they have the one kid that runs back and forth. Now that I don't know if you've seen, I don't know if you've been to the grocery store lately, but that's the hardest job in the country right now. is is the kid, the 16-year-old kid who has to manage all the self-checkout lines. It's never a grown man. It's always some kid's first job, and he's managing, and these adults are vicious. It's like working in a room full of pit bulls is what it is, because these people want to get out of here, and they're all ornery, and even really wonderful people are just monsters in these self-checkout lines because none of us want to do it. We're all angry about it, and
Oh, I love it.
they're
I'm in the
just
minority. I know that.
and
I
there's at
love
least
self
eight.
checkout.
There's at least 8 self-checkouts at every place that you go that has them, and it's wild, Los. And it's a free-for-all. It's a feeding frenzy. And so that job's got to get automated. It's saving lives to get rid of that job, because these kids are growing up. It's like we're gonna do tests in 20, 30 years and realize that the people who work self checkout got PTSD compared to soldiers in World War II. Like
What?
it's gonna be
Are
wild.
they gonna rename? Are they gonna rename the robot the self checkout kid? Is that
Yeah,
gonna be the name?
give them a real, give them a real, like,
Give him a little hat. a
Yeah, an
pinwheel
apron.
hat.
Hey, how can I help you?
He's
Let me check
gonna
on that
speak
for
like
you.
one of those newsboys back in the day.
Extra,
What
extra.
do you need?
Oh, let me double check that for you.
Yeah, and so we're talking about today are robot jobs. So oftentimes
Which used
there
to be our
are
jobs. They took them. Sorry. Continue.
yeah, sorry. By the way, this podcast is now being recorded by robots, but no. Yeah, there's often the legit fear that robots will take over many of our jobs, whether you're working in finance, customer service, construction, everywhere. It's supposed to reach all these uh, vast expanses of the workforce. And if you're listening to the news or listening to your uncle yell on Facebook, that may spell the end of the world. But what we wanted to discuss here today is that it's not the end of the world. In fact, because it's been happening for a few hundred years, and not to say there haven't been casualties along the way, but it's created new opportunities for, everyone. And so what we want to point out here are some positive examples of how robots can impact society because we are,
Yeah.
if you haven't guessed it, the upsiders.
Yep. And I'll agree that we were specifically targeting some of the more recent developments because, man, you mentioned bowling earlier, and I don't need to bring that one up. We're not talking about innovations that happened 60 years ago, but that was a pretty good one because now I look at bowling and I just went to the bowling alley yesterday. By the way, I shot 3 200 games. Shot a 276
Wow.
last week, so doing pretty well. Still haven't shot
Bertram's
a
going to leave
300.
us soon for professional bowling. But
I did make that joke after about my 80th strike yesterday. I was like, man, I need to go on the pro tour here pretty soon. One of the things I noticed is there were a lot of people bowling and a lot of people having a really fun time, and bowling, all the lanes were automated, and so the robots were taking care of it in the back over there, and you had about 60 lanes because it's one of those double-sided bowling alleys, and you only need one guy in the back who's just watching all the robots do their jobs. And so we wanted to look at what are some of the recent innovations that have made our lives better since this is the upside. Los, would you like to talk about where the word robot comes from? Like why does this term exist?
yeah, so the term exists first appeared in 1921, and basically comes from the Czech word. Shout out to Czech or Czechia, as I think it's called now. Um, International listeners, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Czechia.
Formerly Czechia, sorry.
I'm
Formerly
Polish.
Republic.
I got all those weird words I got out of lockdown.
Yeah, it comes from the Czech word for forced labor. So literally slavery. Huh? These robots were more in spirit than form, though. It was from a play, um, which was Razum's Universal Robots. So instead of being made of metal, they were made of chemical batter in this play. And they were more efficient than their human counterparts, but also more, unalivey, so to speak. Murder.
Yeah.
And they ended up going on a killing spree in this play. But yeah, I mean, so maybe I'm painting not the brightest picture here with the origin of the word. But what is the main takeaway is that there's that intelligence and being able to sense and the level of autonomy that these beings have allow them to just be more efficient with tasks. And yeah, sort of paving the way there.
Sure. And we have our ever so helpful show notes. If you go down to our show notes, we added Matt Simon's article on Wired, the Wired Guide to Robots. And one thing that they talk about when it comes to robots is how, like many things, this term is a very slippery definition. So if you ask 10 different roboticists, you may get 10 different answers, but one sort of generalized answer about what does a what does something that is autonomous need to be classified as a term robot? Is that generally it needs to be intelligent to some degree, and a physically embodied machine. And it can perform tasks autonomously to some degree. It can sense and manipulate its environment, is important. So, for example, a simple drone that you pilot around is not necessarily a robot, right? It's not necessarily intelligent. It can't manipulate its environment perfect and sense it to, not right away. But if you give a drone the power to take off and land on its own, and can it sense objects, then suddenly it becomes a lot more robot-ish in theory. So it's the intelligence and the sensing and the autonomy that's key.
Yeah. Could I tell you what I wish we would bring back is the
Yes,
word
please.
automaton. Automaton, which I like more than robot.
Where'd it go?
Which, yeah, it just disappeared. I think robot really replaced it, but automaton, yeah, according to the etymology here, um, comes from the ancient Greek word automaton, which means acting of one's own will. And it was first used, in fact, by our good boy Homer, used to describe an automatic door
Oh.
opening or an automatic movement of wheeled tripods.
Oh. Los and I want to talk about some of the recent innovations that we have researched, and a lot of this is going to come down to this part inside a robot that's called an actuator. It's a fancy word for a combo electric motor and gearbox that you'll find in a robot's joint. The actuator is what determines how strong a robot is and how smoothly or not smoothly it moves. Without actuators, robots would crumple like rag dolls. Even relatively simple robots like Roombas owe their existence to the actuator. Self-driving cars are loaded with these things. It's a component that produces force, torque, or displacement. It converts such an input signal into the required form of mechanical energy. And in essence, it's the thing that it's the mover in the robot. And so what we're noticing is that as these things get better, the more natural movement the robot is able to do. So a robot named Kangaroo, for instance, it moves with 116 actuators that tug on cables, allowing the machine to do unsettlingly human maneuvers like push-ups. It's a far more natural looking form of movement than what you'd get with traditional electric motors housed in the joints. So some of those new age robots that you see there that make it seem like, wow, this thing's really doing smooth human movement, usually comes down to the actuators.
Very important. And so, yeah, Bertram, tell us more about some of your favorite examples that you found of robots doing great things or new things that humans maybe are used to or maybe have forgot about.
The first thing that I think of are cobots. Those are it's short for community or collaborative robots that work safely alongside humans. Los, have you ever done any job where you were side by side with a robot, working almost as a team, the Kobe and Shaq, if you will?
Oh, I wish. No. A lot of my
I
work has been, yeah.
Funny enough, I'm wearing a T-shirt that says AM. Where there we go, AMPG. Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
I think it's automotive. No, it's automated. Part. I don't remember what it is. I'll put it in the show notes. But we went on a field trip to this place a couple months back, and they gave me a shirt, and the shirt is so incredibly comfortable. Um, Spoiler alert, like I didn't actually plan to talk about them. This was not planned to put this shirt on.
Not a sponsor.
No, they're not a sponsor or anything. It's a very comfortable shirt. So it's one of the first out of the wash for me. And I just did my wash yesterday. And we went and took the kids there, and you would love them because they bought all these machines. They're heavy into automation, and they're a parts maker, right? They make, screws, they make nuts, they make all these parts that eventually go into manufacturing, and they sell them to people who are manufacturing bigger things, right? And so what they'll do is they'll make, hey, we're going to make 1,500 of these screws and ship them. And what they notice is because they work alongside robots, because they have these gigantic machines, but they also have some of these smaller machines. What they'll have is they'll have this part, and it takes a lot of like water and pressure to cut through some of this stuff. And what they will have is they have this like arm, this robot arm, go into the machine and pull out the screw. And the way that a lot of their automation processes work is that it allows the screw to be much finer and much more precise than if it was made by humans. And so when I went to this place for a field trip, there was a lot of people who just work alongside the robot. So here's this gigantic thing that's moving on wheels, and it's kind of moving around this bigger machine that's making the part, and it's moving things around. It's locating items, it's getting items, and it works step by step with the human, where they're like passing it off to each other and making sure that everything gets done. That's an example of a collaborative robot. So that's one of my favorite things. So shout outs to AMPG for doing some work like that. And it seems like a lot of these people really appreciate the robots. They really treated them like coworkers. A lot of them were the same size, which was, you're standing next to this gigantic robot crane arm that it kind of acts like a coworker. And so cobots are equipped with sensors that enable them to navigate their surroundings. They have a safety mode that's activated. They're smaller than typical robots. They move slower. They're convenient. They're safe. An example of a cobot is Rita. Have you ever heard of Rita, Los?
Rita. It's
Yeah.
a lovely name. But yeah, tell me more about Rita.
Rita was developed by Bear Robotics. She is Chili's cobot. Chili's, have you ever had the baby back ribs? Yeah. You want to sing?
I can
You want to sing?
my
Sing the song with me. No.
Chili's baby back
Mm.
ribs.
Oh,
Barbecue sauce.
that was, man, I didn't know Barry White was on this
A little
podcast.
rusty.
Oh, man. Um, Rita, and I think I have something in the show notes for Rita. She guides guests to their seat at Chili's. She pitches them offers like My Chili's rewards. Essentially, she's like a greeter before the servers step in. The robot's presence eases pressure on hosts by allowing them to stay at their stands, welcome guests, and respond to any questions or concerns. It also helps bussers and food runners make trips from kitchen to tables without taking over these employees. Rita can also sing the happy birthday song and deliver the guest a scoop of ice cream to celebrate. Um,
Could I stop
the
you there? Ask your
Please.
question about that real quick. All
Yes.
right. So yeah, I may need to ask Chili's themselves, but do we know which birthday song Rita is singing, I should say? Because
Well, oh yeah.
if you're not familiar, I believe, and this could be a myth, but I believe that oftentimes restaurants make their own birthday songs because they don't have the rights to sing the typical happy birthday song. So
No,
it'd be
I believe.
interesting to hear.
So the Happy Birthday to You was written by Mildred and Patty Hill. I know that because of Aaron Sorkin's Wonderful Sports Night when Dan Rydell got sued for singing Mildred and Patty Hill's song. That's how I know who it is. And it was really big news when Happy Birthday, they've been dead for a long, I think one of them died in like Mildred Hill died in 1916. So it's been a long time. But I believe Happy Birthday went into the public domain like 10 years ago.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, right. Uh, is Happy Birthday public domain now? 2016. The final settlement was officially granted. The court declared that the song is now in the public domain. We can sing Happy Birthday right now on the air. We finally won't get sued.
Really? Okay, good.
Okay.
Nice. Thank
But you're
you. I
probably,
don't
yeah,
want to.
that's why I
Okay.
remember Futurama used to have their own happy birthday song, which is like three cheers for your birthday. And Futurama, that was before 2016. Yes, Redefied Restaurants. Uh, the company found that 82% of guests felt their experience was better because of Rita, and 77% said their server spent more time with them. 84% of team members are excited about Rita. In the 18 months Rita has been testing in 10 of our restaurants, she's proven reliable time after time. She's made the job less strenuous for team members, and she's been a hit among guests of all ages. I went to a Chinese restaurant not too long ago that had their own version of Rita, and apparently it's just this restaurant that's known for having their own arena. That's why people go there. And I was just doing a pickup order, and you could tell that the front of house, especially because look how pickup orders have really taken off, right? Especially if people picking up for DoorDash since COVID, there's a lot more people choosing to do takeout. And what was interesting was you could tell the dude was swamped, and it was late at night, and they were just trying to close, and there was probably about 10 people just doing pickup, and there were people dining in. And what he would do is he would run to the back and he would help organize the pickup orders. And then after a while, I noticed I saw the robot, and he would load all the pickup orders onto the robot. And then I saw the robot come over to us, and sure enough, the robot came over, goes, "Your pickup order's here. Thanks. Have a good day." And I was like, what just happened?
Ooh.
I did not know that this place had a robot at the time. So it was pretty damn cool. But if I didn't know about Rita, I would have I might have attacked it.
I know that. Well, yeah. As an aside, that does remind me of those robots who are. Have you seen them like on the sidewalks? They have them here all over LA. They have little robots who deliver food to houses or businesses, and they'll be on the streets. I'll have to look them up. Maybe we'll put those in the show notes.
Please.
But yeah, people are. It gives me faith in humanity because I've yet, knock on wood, to see anyone like tip them over or block their way. People
Well,
are usually very
we've seen
accommodating.
enough movies where that ends in horrible violence and uprising. I think maybe we've learned our lesson not to mess with robots.
Yeah, maybe it's a place of fear that people are just, oh, let this robot go. Let it go.
Los, we're still making Terminator movies because I haven't seen every Terminator movie, but I don't think they've gotten around Skynet, have they? Have they beaten Skynet yet in these movies? They made about 10 Terminators. Can you name
Yeah.
can you name a movie where we beat technology? Because even like The Matrix, it came back. like I th- did didn't we beat the machines in the third movie, and then they were like, man, they're just gonna let's reboot it.
Yeah, so yeah, this is an example. Here's an article from August 2024. Uber Eats rolls out Coco, sidewalk delivery robot here I live in Los Angeles, by the way. What? Uber Eats announced a partnership with Coco Robotics to expand autonomous sidewalk delivery here in
Get
LA.
out of here.
Yeah. And so, yeah, these things are cute. They're like a box with wheels, and they have little eyes in the form of like lights. Yeah, they look cute.
Can I ask a stupid question?
You could always ask a stupid
Who
question.
who's getting food delivered to the sidewalk?
Huh? Food
Who's
delivery?
getting
No, they load the food up, and then they put the robots operate. They drive on the sidewalk, so they're very small
Oh,
robots. Let me show you. Yeah, I'll put the.
yeah, gosh, I'll just take your word
I'll
for
send
it.
you
I don't
in the
know.
chat. Yeah, no, let's do it.
Well,
Let's put you on.
but the fans can't see it.
Okay?
But
Yeah, we'll show them.
our
They're going to be in the show notes. I'm sharing this in real time now. Um, we could even put that
that's
on the screen for everyone too.
because I'm like, all I can think of is wouldn't that be helpful for like the homeless community, where it's like, hey, we can deliver food to the people who need it. But I'm not getting any food delivered to. Okay, all right. I'll put this
Yeah.
up. The robotreport.com. I'll put this in the show notes.
Yeah. Oh, that may be a good resource for everyone. Robot Report. But yeah, you see these little cute little. See how cute they are?
So is it based then on proximity? Can these things cross the street?
Yeah, they cross the street all the time. Yeah.
How, these things are getting hit. How does it know how to stop?
It has sensors, and I believe they have cameras in there too. I'd have to see the full architecture of this thing, but
Is there drivers or it's autonomous?
it's autonomous. Yeah, it's a robot.
Okay, all right. Has to have some
Yeah,
degree of autonomy, and that's pretty impressive.
exactly. So you trust it to deliver your food, and I will say, full disclosure, there was a recent incident in which we had a robot to robot collision. Now, we're trying to iron out these things, but also in LA, we have our Waymo vehicles, which are autonomous robo taxis.
Yes.
So just as you
Wait, you
catch an Uber,
sorry, you have those in LA now?
we have those in LA.
Oh man, Los like 10 years ago I remember was up in San Fran and was riding in a robot taxi and I was so jealous. Apparently they've expanded.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, it was like 9 years ago. I was up in the Bay Area, and it was when Google was initially testing what is now Waymo, their self-driving cars. And I was just so excited. I saw one of the test drivers in there, and he was just like dancing along to music that he was playing, and we were just driving
I remember
alongside
that
like,
story. I remember that story.
beautiful. But now you
I
see
think
them
of that
all.
story every now and then.
Now you see them all over the place in LA, and they don't have anyone in the driver's seat. You just hop in, and it wheels you all over the place. But recently, there was a collision between a Waymo and one of these delivery robots. So some kinks to still iron out here, but they're still working for the better. And yeah, anyway, so that's the sidewalk delivery robots. I
Yeah.
just wanted to tell you there. It's a cobot, if you will, as well.
That's amazing.
Um,
But and that goes to show you, right, is so with robot on robot collision, where do humans fit into this whole thing, Los? And what are we what's gonna happen to us? Are we just gonna be used as batteries like in the Matrix? Um so
Yeah. Because
uh,
on the one hand, though, I'm glad you mentioned that because on the one hand, that is not necessarily a good thing that there was a robot to robot collision, but you could see it could have easily gone the other way, right? It could have
yeah,
been a robot to human collision. It could have been a human operated vehicle colliding with a pedestrian instead of a sidewalk delivery robot, in which that could have ended up in some life being lost.
yeah.
Instead, you just have a broken robot. So, like, there's some positives there in that unfortunate robot to robot collision.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
You got me thinking of all sorts of things, but this is called the upside. So we're not gonna talk
So
about
the
all of it.
upside is that no humans were harmed
Yeah.
in that robot to robot collision.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I also have a link in the show notes to Dr. Daniel Zimmerman's work from Aspen University, in that you will find some talk about while machines can handle repetitive tasks and data processing, human workers will be needed to still make critical decisions, interpret complex data, and provide the creativity and innovation that machines cannot replicate. Emotional intelligence, in particular, will become increasingly important as automation, I almost said automaton for you, takes over more routine functions. Professionals who can effectively manage teams, lead innovation, and build relationships will be critical in navigating this new landscape. And I think that's all very well said. Some of the higher level jobs, the high functioning, the critical thinking, the complex problem solving, those are the things that we're still gonna be leading the way on.
Yeah. I could think of, and I may pitch this question to you as well, are jobs that for the time being, we can't see robots replacing. Maybe they're irreplaceable because of that human component. But one I could think of are like nurses, nursing aides, those who work with the elderly, you know, displaying that, yeah, emotional intelligence, right? That empathy that robots have not been able to replicate yet or may not ever, right? Because there's all these
Yeah.
little idiosyncrasies that humans are able to detect, um, that, yeah, machines just cannot replicate there. So not all is lost. We won't lose everything to robots. As you said, those repetitive tasks, things that make us
I,
bored, right? Um,
I, I do hope, and since this is the upside, I think the biggest upside is that recently, and because it's not entirely the fault of laziness or apathy or anything like that, but humans have not achieved. I feel like the average American, the average human has not achieved what they could. We haven't reached the limits of our potential in some time because of things like poverty, food insecurity. There's a lot of things that are going on in the world where, you know, education's down, right? The cost, there's all sorts of issues that we're having. And I wonder if robots can take a lot of the routine things away so that we have more times to do all these amazing things. It could push us to higher ground. I think of iRobot, when the robot says to Will Smith, where he's like, or Will Smith says, "Can can a robot write a beautiful
Mhm.
symphony?" And the robot goes, "Can you?" And you're like, well, "That's fair. I guess you can't do it either." And it's like, yeah, but we have the capacity to. So possibly being able to take a lot of those things out of the game for us will allow us to only work on those things that make humans human.
Yeah, absolutely. So, giving us more time and capacity to do the things we really
Yeah.
want to do or what humans really need to do, help
Yeah.
each other out. And yeah,
Uh, which brings up the next point, right? Is I would like to talk about a robot named Cleo.
Cleo. Ooh, I
Yes.
like that name.
Okay.
Like Miss Cleo.
Well, we're not. Let's not talk about that fraud.
Oh,
Call me now. Sorry, I apologize.
uh,
Um, so Jennifer Chu with MIT News talks about imagine having to straight up a messy kitchen, starting with a counter littered with sauce packets. If your goal is to wipe the counter clean, you might sweep up the packets as a group. If, however, you wanted to first pick out the mustard packets before throwing the rest away, you would sort more discriminately by sauce type. And if among the mustards you had a hankering for Grey Poupon, finding this specific brand would entail a more careful search. And so we have started using this robot, Cleo, that identifies the parts of a scene that matter given the tasks at hand. With Cleo, a robot takes in a list of tasks described in a natural language, and based on those tasks, it determines the level of granularity required to interpret its surroundings and remember um, only the parts of a scene that are relevant, which you can imagine. I don't think of a robot able to discriminate data, right? In my head, a
mhm.
robot it treats all information equally, and I imagine a robot has a very hard time saying like this is the most important piece, so I'm actually not going to care about the rest of these things. I'm only going to take this and trash the rest. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Once upon.
Um, Yeah, and so in real experiments ranging from a cluttered cubicle to a five story building on MIT's campus, the team used Clio to automatically segment a scene at different levels of granularity based on a set of tasks specified in natural language prompts such as move the rack of magazines and go get the first aid kit. And so the team also ran Clio in real time. It's on a quadruped robot. So they installed
Mhm.
Clio on this quadruped robot, similar, what a quadruped is.
Yeah,
It's essentially what they made as a dog, right? And
yeah.
that's important in a minute. As the robot explored an office building, Clio identified and mapped only those parts of the scene that related to the robot's tasks, such as retrieving a dog toy while ignoring piles of office spaces, allowing the robot to grasp the objects of interest. For instance, giving a task of moving a stack of books to a shelf, the robot should be able to determine that the entire stack of books is the task relevant object. Likewise, if the task were to move only the green book from the rest of the stack, the robot should distinguish the green book as a single target object and disregard the rest of the scene, including the other books in a stack. So everyone except for Los is probably like, so what is the point of all this? Why would they do this? And the fact that it's a quadruped is also important because have you ever seen the movie Super Powered Dogs, Los?
Super powered dogs. That's a show?
It's a documentary with old Captain America Chris Evans. It played in
Mhm.
IMAX at the at the State Museum, I believe, here in
Hmm.
Indianapolis. So you've probably never see it unless you've gone to like a museum and went to the IMAX to go see one of those like 45-minute docs. You ever see
Yeah,
any
I
of those
missed those,
things?
by the way. When I was a
Man.
kid, yeah, and that we used to have like go to Mount Everest or solar
Hmm.
system, not the solar system, but like the moves when um,
They make you cry. They're so inspiring. So if you're a
yeah,
fan of The Upside, go check. I just watched one recently on Jane Goodall where she was talking about all the work she's done in the world and some of the new things that we were doing with animals. So that
oh,
was really cool.
she has an IMAX documentary. I gotta check
It's
that
really
out.
really good. And here's the thing, it's only like 40-45 minutes some of these. So you go sit in, maybe you have some popcorn, a drink, and it's not an hour and a half, 2 hours, or you're like, oh geez, I want to get some other stuff done today too.
That was one of
I
my main critiques, though, about the museum IMAXs. Is they didn't have all the snacks, you know.
Oh, this one does. You can bring some popcorn in
Ooh,
there. Oh yeah.
okay.
Um,
Okay, this ain't the '90s anymore, I guess.
yeah. And so with superpowered dogs, it's a really great documentary, and I even have the book over here too because it's my wife's favorite movie. I like Casablanca. She likes superpowered dogs, and so um,
You
and so it was a documentary about some amazing dogs who changed the world, and the main focus was on this puppy who is going to be search and rescue. How they it was essentially the main story was about how they train dogs for search and rescue teams to go and locate people, and exactly how the process is. And so it looks like Cleo's doing the exact same thing. It's very important to train these dogs on, hey, here's how you go look, here's what you're looking for, here's how you go and search this room, here's and really trying to do the process, because I think you'll agree, you're probably asking a lot of a dog to go do this process, and dogs don't live, you know, through super long lives anyway. And so if we can offset that task to some of these robots, I think that would really save a lot of lives. If we could not send humans into these some of these blazing fires, if we're able to give robots tasks, especially with the strength of a robot, right? Hey, can you go into this building and be able to, free people and get people out of here? I think that would be highly valuable, especially, for some of these, what was just going on in Los Angeles with the wildfires, right? I hope everyone's safe,
Yeah,
by the way. Like, if you could go send these people into this house to go retrieve things, that'd be amazing.
absolutely. Yeah, fires, earthquakes, just their ability with the strength to lift. If someone's trapped underneath some rubble, to lift that up, yeah, that'll go a
Yeah.
long way.
And so that was it, just a search and rescue team. And I think that's a really empowered. We don't talk about the upside of some of these robots too much. And for me, being able to reinvent and innovate search and rescue would be a huge step forward.
One critique or maybe some wish list items for the Clio dog, search and rescue dog, is let's make it fuzzy, make it furry, because that's one of the things that endear us to the doggos is that,
Wouldn't that
it's a
set
pet
on
thing.
fire at a fire?
Well, you can make it from some poly material or something like that, but
Fire resistant?
yeah, give it a tongue to lick you too when you feel good.
Those dogs don't lick you in that scenario, man. They are incredibly disciplined.
Oh yeah, that's true. But when you need to feel good afterwards, yeah, I think so.
All right. Well, how about we have another dog do that after?
Maybe we'll have a robot dog symposium so we could develop
Okay, I'll meet you there,
some
buddy.
ideas there.
But that's all I got. Just those are some dogs that are not some dogs. This is some robots that are changing the world. We could
And
do an
this is
episode on dogs changing the world. Yeah, we'll save that one for later. To be continued.
exactly. And one of the things to remember about this show is that we talk about things that are already in motion.
Yes.
It's easy and simple to talk about pie in the sky, and that's how a lot of times they try and make you feel better about some of these issues, right? Is that, oh yeah, these could lead to this and this could lead to that. But what we try and bring to the table here at the Upside are things that are already happening, that people are already doing hard and substantial and great work in these spaces. And so we wanted to highlight and celebrate that to show you that, yeah, there is an upside there. So
Well, and that's what makes it so easy, right? Is that it's easy to focus on some good stuff that's already actually happening because it gets glazed over in the news, right? Is, you know, for every 9 articles that are about like the world is ending, there's only one where it's like, hey, something actually really good happened that matters, but nobody clicked on it. And so that's our job. We'll bring that news to you.
Exactly. All right. Well, thank you all for listening. Again, make sure to subscribe, follow this podcast so you could be notified when we release the next installment of our show here. And yeah, on behalf of Bertram, Maxwell, Stevens, my name is Los, your friendly neighborhood Los. And we'll see you not just on this side, but we'll also see you on the
The
upside.
upside.
Farewell and bye bye.